Hey everyone, happy Monday. It's that time of day where we take a moment and pause and say thanks to everyone who's making the world run. Let's start with the men and women in the military, police officers, firefighters, doctors, nurses, lab technicians, hospital orderlies, small business owners, restaurateurs, truck drivers, everyone working at the grocery stores and fast food joints, the Port of Los Angeles, Long Beach, and Oakland, and Union Station, the pilots and flight attendants. Let's listen to the national anthem.
Shining a spotlight on the insane asylum that is modern day California. It's the John Phillips Show.
And a very happy Monday to you at 12:07 in the West. It's the John Phillips Show. Mr. Randy Wang's in Toronto, Canada.
John, we have had count 'em, 5 water main breaks in just 1 week in Los Angeles. 5.
You know, I would say that LA is turning into the lost city of Atlantis, but when I hear Atlantis, all I think about is that resort in the Bahamas that always advertises on cable. We're more like Katrina in New Orleans.
And the big water main break, the one in West Hollywood, we have no idea when it's actually going to be completed, but Karen Bass did her typical undersell on KTLA this morning, where she said, I thought it was going to take weeks and weeks to clean that up, but they say it might be done in just a couple of days, but they have no idea when it will actually be done.
Could you imagine if your car got flooded and you have no ride right now?
It's got to be a nightmare. No idea when Sunset Boulevard is going to be open to traffic in that part of town, which slows down everything in West Hollywood and East Hollywood. And hell, it slows down the valley as well. But of course, it wasn't the only big water main break, as there were 2 in Venice over the weekend as well, and that one in Boyle Heights. For a recap on all the pipes that have been a-poppin' in Los Angeles, here is Fox 11, and it seems like he gets the A block almost every day, Matthew Seedorf.
We begin in West Hollywood, where tonight, new questions about LA's aging water system. At least 5 water main breaks have hit the area in the last week.
And this should not be surprising, considering that most of these pipes are 100 years old, even though they're only supposed to be in service for 50 to 70 years.
Now, maybe the pipes burst when the World Cup went to halftime and everyone flushed the toilet at the same time.
Including that massive rupture that flooded the Sunset Strip. Fox 11's Matthew Seedorf is live in West Hollywood with the latest there. Matthew, they were hoping that it would be all finished by tomorrow.
That didn't happen.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah, so Susan, that definitely doesn't look like it's going to be the case. Right now, crews are still here working. Elliot will show you a live look. You can see the massive sinkhole still here on Sunset. The crews still working on that new pipe. This one of several water main breaks we've reported on this last week. Growing concerns over LA's aging infrastructure below ground. at least 5 water main breaks in just the last week.
I think it's actually not a surprise given how old all of the infrastructure is in the city of LA and how so many pipes haven't been replaced.
That is such the LA person attitude. Yeah, this is pretty much what happens here.
Sometimes we're above water, sometimes we're underwater. You know, it just goes like that.
Most destructive Thursday in West Hollywood.
You know, I keep getting on my YouTube feed, it keeps showing me that monologue from John Mulaney's TV show a couple of years ago where he shows the map of Los Angeles, and I can never get out of my head his bit where he's like, you know, you ever drive around Los Angeles and you would assume no mayor, right? Los Angeles actually has a mayor, but as you drive around, you think, well, it's going pretty good for the fact that we don't have a mayor.
A 110-year-old pipe blamed for this devastating deluge.
Looked as if like a tsunami.
17 million gallons of water flooding businesses, apartments, and parking garages. 3 days later.
Can you imagine what the insurance claims are going to be like for any of those cars? Because those cars are done. They're not getting used ever again.
Well, and if your auto insurance is tied to your homeowner's insurance, you're probably hesitant to file a claim because you don't want to get kicked off your homeowner's insurance too.
More than 200 LADWP workers are still trying to get the pipe back online.
It's impacted us like mentally too, you know. It's been like rough the last few days.
Look at the water.
Well, yes, you already are worried that anything could happen and your house could burn down because of LA. And now you assume that anything could happen and your house could flood in LA.
Well, if your house is flooded, you don't have to worry about it burning down.
Water line in this parking garage now 3 days without power and everything still in here just like it was on Thursday. At least 40 cars just in this one garage caked in mud and debris.
If you didn't know, if you just saw this footage, you would imagine, okay, a hurricane must have hit wherever this is. No. This is no natural disaster. This is deferred maintenance at its worst.
I don't know if you saw the email, but we got an email from someone who wants to remain nameless, who works for DWP, who says that internally they're well aware about the aging pipes and the danger that it poses, but they don't want to spend the money to fix it. So what they're going to do is they're going to wait until the big one hits and then everything breaks and then blame it on the earthquake and then hope that there's federal funds that come through so they can fix everything.
Oh, boy.
In West Hollywood, not alone. Last Sunday, another water main burst in Boyle Heights.
Because, you know, they don't have enough going on in Boyle Heights.
You know, God looked at the people in Boyle Heights and went, you people have been too lucky in life. How about a pipe that's going to burst and flood you too?
And this weekend, 3 more. 1 in Hollywood and 2 in Venice.
So crazy. Oh my God. It's like we're living in the Revelations.
I wasn't expecting a biblical reference out of her, but I appreciate it.
In the Bible.
I think there's probably a lot of 110-year-old pipes that need to be looked at in LA right now.
They know which pipes are the bad ones. This one was on the priority list. And John, do you know what the priority list means? It means they were going to replace it in 5 years, and the project was going to take 5 years.
It seems like this happens all the time these days.
It happens in so many different aspects. There is so little attention paid to the basics of running the city of Los Angeles. We've got plenty of money and plenty of time for all of these idiotic passion projects, but we don't have any money or any effort into making sure that the pipes under us are replaced in a timely fashion. They don't even have enough budget or manpower to replace 1% of the 100-year-old pipes that are sitting beneath Los Angeles.
Prior to Boyle Heights, do you know when the last 100-year-old pipe was that burst in Los Angeles?
Which one?
It was on Anna Nicole Smith's wedding night.
He'll be here all week, everybody.
Approximately 240,000 feet a year.
LADWP says they replace about 45 miles of pipe each year, or less than 1% of the system that stretches almost 7,000 miles.
And don't tell me LADWP doesn't have the money. I see that bill that my wife pays every month. It's a lot.
Yeah, how about getting rid of all those safety ambassadors and cutting off all of those homeless services groups and using that money on fixing the pipes?
How much pipe could we buy for all of these $17,000 per person, per bed, per month motels that we're paying for the homeless?
We need to be fixing some pipes.
For some, the focus now shifting from the damage above ground to the aging system buried below.
The city needs to do so much more to infrastructure here. It's our city, and they got to take care of it.
Even in faced with a disaster that's going to screw up traffic for that neighborhood for weeks and weeks and weeks, we're still LA laid back, even when we're criticizing our government.
So for now, the sinkhole is still here on Sunset. As you were saying, Susan, officials wanted this to be done by Monday. Clearly, that's not the case. We have not gotten an updated timeline of when this could be complete. We're live in West Hollywood. Matthew Seedorf, Fox 11 News.
Matthew, I don't know if you would know this, but is there a way to inspect these aging pipes so you might see where there could be a problem?
You would think, and especially just in terms of replacement, right? So right now they're going through about 45 miles a year of replacing these pipes, but there's almost 7,000 miles, so that's about less than 1% of all the pipes, and a lot of them are old.
Yeah.
It is very likely, especially considering the time of year, that you're going to have one of these massive water main explosions during the Olympics.
Oh, can you imagine?
Yeah, to say simply, they're old. Matthew Seedorf, thank you so much.
So that's what's going on in West Hollywood, John. But as we now move into an investigative piece from ABC7, you'll find out just how aware LADWP was of this pipe that was a ticking time bomb under Sunset Boulevard. For more, here is ABC7.
And Eyewitness News has learned that the 100-year-old pipe that burst was due to be replaced. In fact, LADWP called it a high-priority project.
7 on your side.
High priority, meaning we'll get to it eventually.
That's government ingenuity for you.
Investigative reporter Kevin Ozebek picks up our team coverage with the sobering details. They don't sound good, Kevin.
Yeah, well, David and Giovanna, for some context here, this pipe that burst today is much bigger than a water.
Did he just come from the gym?
He might have done some push-ups right before the live shot.
Kevin Ozebek's looking like he got his morning pumps on.
Water main. These so-called trunk pipes carry huge amounts of water into municipal water systems. Well, according to the LADWP, this trunk line was on its high priority list for replacement. But 7 on your side investigates is learning that construction on its replacement was not slated for another 5 years.
It's a 1916 36-inch riveted steel pipe.
And the impact of that 3-foot wide pipe that's 110.
Again, this wasn't an earthquake. This wasn't a hurricane. This is LA being its most LA, not paying attention to the basics.
1916? That's like Prohibition era Los Angeles.
We're talking a pipe that was put in during World War I.
10 years old, breaking is catastrophic for those who live in the water's way.
Right now, we don't know the reason why we had the rupture.
I think anyone could figure that one out. It's 110 years old.
Now, maybe they intended for that to rupture during the Olympics to see if Michael Phelps can do laps in that.
But what 7 on your side investigates is learning is that replacing this trunk pipe that burst was a high priority for the LADWP. The utility tells us the replacement project was currently in design and was slated to begin construction in 2031 and completion in 2035.
Come on.
So it takes them how many years in the design process to figure out what kind of pipe they're going to need? And it's going to take them 4 years to begin construction and then another 4 years to finish it. That sounds as LADWP as you can possibly imagine. I'm sure any plumber out there would say it does not take this long.
What is there to design? It's a pipe. You don't need French windows.
Listener Cairo Devora writes in, I'm sure I got that wrong on YouTube. If the water pipes burst during the 2028 Olympics, LA will just rebrand the flooded streets as the official venue for the brand new pothole kayaking event.
There you go.
But we all now know this pipe could not contain such a huge amount of water for another 5 years. LADWP operates 547 miles of trunk line. A 2024-2025 LADWP report listed 2% of them as being high or high moderate for replacement. The rest were listed as moderate, low moderate, or low on the replacement list. But it appears LADWP is behind schedule in replacing them.
I'm not surprised at all.
In its 2024-2025 fiscal year report, LADWP replaced less than a mile of trunk pipe when the goal was to replace 1.1 miles. But in its latest water infrastructure report, LADWP says the goal is to replace more than 3.5 miles of these trunk pipes every year to get rid of those high-risk pipes.
That's the goal, but they have fallen well short of those goals every single year.
What goal have they ever met? The number of homeless people being taken off the streets, the number of police officers hired, none of their goals are ever met.
But now the question is even that fast enough? Renowned seismologist Lucy Jones says take what you see here in WeHo as a warning. And just imagine what will...
As much as we all love her, anytime they put Lucy Jones on the screen, you know it's not for good news.
Nope.
Happen to our aging pipes when the big one shakes and breaks them.
So much of LA's water pipes were installed over 100 years ago because it's the first thing you do before you build any houses. And it's across Southern California that these pipes are the most vulnerable infrastructure that we have.
And our archives show that back in 2014, just down the street from where I am at Sunset and La Cienega, there was also an LADWP 3-foot wide pipe that burst. We are asking and waiting for answers from the LADWP if that was the same trunk pipe and if this pipe has a history of breaking. So of course, we will stay on top of that. Also, we know yesterday was incredibly hot. No word yet if the heat played any role here, but according to the utility, these pipes like this one often do break in the overnight hours, and that's because as the pressure really does build up as demand softens, as so many of us fall asleep.
So there you go. This was a high priority project for the LADWP, which means they were going to get to it in about 5 years.
Okay, if you're Karen Bass and you oversee the Department of Water and Power, and it's been a mess in terms of the fires, it's now been a mess in terms of the floods, it's been a mess in terms of the environmental disaster, which I guess you can't pin on DWP, over in Boyle Heights, what can you hang your hat on?
Not a whole lot.
What could she point to and go, you know, that's a success? Dig me on the fires, dig me on the floods, dig me on what's going on in Boyle Heights, but at least I did blah, blah.
I mean, you look back on the tenure of the 4 short years that Karen Bass has been mayor, and all I can remember is the disasters. You've got this. Last year you had the fires, and let's not forget when the 10 freeway melted under her watch.
It's like spin the wheel and pick the disaster. She's had all of them on her watch. It's the John Phillips Show. You know, when people think about serious injuries, they usually think of broken bones, something obvious. But one of the most serious injuries people deal with after an accident is actually vision loss. After a car crash, a fall, or a head injury, your eyesight can change, sometimes right away, sometimes weeks or months later. Blurry vision, double vision, headaches, trouble focusing, and a lot of times the eyes look fine, but the brain, it isn't processing what it's seeing correctly. That kind of injury affects everything. your work, your driving, your independence. And if someone else's negligence caused it, that's not just an inconvenience, it's a real long-term issue. That's why I trust and recommend Fielding Law. They don't just look at what's obvious, they understand brain and vision injuries and how deeply they impact your life. If you or someone you care about is dealing with vision problems after an accident, call Fielding Law today at 833-88-SHARK or find them online at clarkthesharklaw.com. That's clarkthesharklaw.com. Fielding Law, kind people, serious lawyers. It's the John Phillips Show. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number. 1-800-222-5222. If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. Well, Randy, you can not only listen to the show on the radio, but you can watch us live on YouTube and participate in the chat.
We are broadcasting live, not just on the radio, but we're also broadcasting at youtube.com/@Randy Wang Radio. That's where the lively chat room is. You can also get us on X at Johnny Don't Like, on Facebook at KEBC Radio and 810 KSFO, on Twitch at Randy Wang Radio. But there's a lot of lively action going on in the chat room. Let's look at some of these comments. Richard writes in, henceforth, the John Phillips Show should be called the Disaster of the Week Show.
More like disaster of the day.
Seriously. Saxman7 writes in, I love these usernames. Speaking of not meeting goals, how about the 6th Street Bridge lights? They were going to remove the graffiti from the graffiti tower, and they were going to have the people mover running.
Good memory. All right, we're 30 minutes into today's show. We have 2.5 hours more to go. Don't you go anywhere.
Car accidents happen constantly. If you happen to get hurt in one, you got to call my friend Clark Fielding in the jaws of justice at Fielding Law at 833-88-SHARK. That's 833-887-4275, 833-88-SHARK. Even a minor accident can lead to a major long-term injury, so don't go at this alone. Get the jaws of justice on your side, helping you out with your case. That's Clark Fielding at Fielding Law, 833-88-SHARK, 833-887-4275. Clark Fielding has got 5-star reviews on Yelp and Google. This is the guy you want in your corner, helping you out with your case. So find out if you have one. Get a free consultation from Clark Fielding and the Jaws of Justice at Fielding Law at 833-88-SHARK, 833-887-4275, 833-88-SHARK, and go to the website, clarkthesharklaw.com. That's where you can download the accident preparation guide, a handy little thing you put in your glove box. I've got one in mine at clarkthesharklaw.com.
Hurt in an accident? Bite back. Call Clark. 833-88-SHARK. clarkthesharklaw.com.
It's the John Phillips Show. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number. 1-800-222-5222. And if you haven't checked out the Accountability Podcast, definitely make sure to do that on YouTube and subscribe, because Randy, once we hit 2,500 subscriptions, which is free, by the way, you have a treat for the audience.
When we get to 2,500 subs on the Accountability Podcast, that's youtube.com/@accountability podcast, we're going to unveil the John Phillips Show soundboard, a website that you can use on your phone or on a computer for free and play our top 100 drops all you want. You can download them, turn them into ringtones, play them for your friends, or just pretend that you're hosting your own kind of John Phillips show. And yes, it includes Oakland Guy.
I said, hell no, baby boy. Let me get up on out of here.
But we can't give you that website, which I paid for to build, until we get to 2,500 subs. Over the weekend, we crossed the 1,300 barrier. We are currently at 1,344 subscribers for the Accountability Podcast in this channel that you're watching us on right now, youtube.com/@RandyWangRadio. We're at 2,959. So thank you so much for subscribing and your like buttons. It helps push us out to all the YouTubes.
For an update on all of the bums taking over the sidewalks in the city of Dumpy, Mr. Randy Wang.
It's time to get to the city of Oakland, everybody, or as it was affectionately titled on a report from KRON 4 last year.
You know, this has really been an issue for the city of Dumpy. Excuse me.
Sidewalks are getting harder and harder to traverse in East Oakland every single day because of homeless encampments and illegal dumping. Shocker. For more on this, we go to KTVU, Fox 2.
And turning now to residents in deep East Oakland who say they're fed up with the blight in their neighborhood. And they say an encampment in the Melrose neighborhood sits directly in the route to a school and puts children in danger. KTV's Crystal Bailey joins us now after learning more. Crystal?
Well, Claudine, residents there say the city of Oakland is ignoring their reports to clear the sidewalks and help get those unhoused people living on them to shelter. But the persistent blight has become unbearable. And since April, they've seen school children walking through these encampments into the street to avoid debris.
Boy, the kids are getting all kinds of educations just going to school every day.
And you don't learn any of this from a book.
The homeless encampment is getting worse by the day.
Maria Elena Ruiz works at Andy's Construction in the Melrose neighborhood in East Oakland, where persistent illegal dumping and homeless...
Holy cow!
You know what that looks like? That looks like the average teenager's bedroom.
This is another one of these stories where we try to do it as much justice as we can on the radio and describe to you the conditions that are on streets of Oakland. But you got to jump on the live stream and you got to see this for yourself. There is no way to get through that sidewalk.
Not unless you have a bulldozer.
Encampments pile onto sidewalks. At the corner of 54th Avenue and East 12th Street, one particular encampment is just a block away from Bridges Academy.
There were inconspicuously like just the left shoe of a couple of different kinds of shoes.
Putting kids at risk of being hit by traffic.
We have seen the kids and parents walking around them on the street because the sidewalks are blocked.
She says they've called 311 about the public health and safety hazard, and in the past, the city has responded to clean up. But this time...
It's been several months already, and we don't see any results, any response from them yet.
Don't worry, they'll get to it eventually.
If you're a kid and you're playing on the jungle gym and you're looking outside the chain link fence and you see a bunch of junkies shooting up, you see naked adults, you see people having sex, you see all kinds of unspeakable activities going on. How could you sit there and not daydream about moving to the Middle West?
They're especially sensitive after a fire in April 2023 at one of their construction yards they believe was started by an unhoused person.
You don't say.
Shocker.
Caused $500,000 worth of damage. In West Oakland on Thursday at an encampment along 980, Caltrans led a sweep as part of a broader plan to increase safety along state roadways. The unhoused there were given notice about the sweep.
We have to find somewhere else to go.
Advocates there say the solutions are limited.
It's because there's not enough shelter beds in Oakland to give everybody a shelter bed, and they're also not very adequate.
They don't like it.
Not adequate? What are they not providing? You don't have HBO? What do you need, Netflix?
This person that I think has piercings in their lip is not satisfied with the shelter conditions in Oakland.
Room service? An open bar? What are we talking here?
There's no turn down service, John. They don't put a mint on the pillow.
I mean, what standing do you have to complain? You're living on the streets.
California.
We have to negotiate with them? Okay, let's see here. You want Netflix. You want HBO. Okay, we have a 10-foot marble statue of David that pees lemonade. All right. What else can we put you down for? What kind of closets do you want? Do you want custom, or is just how the manufacturer makes them okay?
Forget Eureka. The new state motto of California is California, where beggars can be choosers.
Unreal.
To give everybody a shelter bed, and they're also not very adequate.
The City of Oakland's website tracking cleanup operations has not been...
What was going on with that person walking in the background?
Yeah, that's a good question.
My goodness.
Updated since December of 2025. But according to the 2026 encampment abatement policy, it's authorized to close encampments within 24 to 72 hours notice, especially for encampments blocking sidewalks.
That guy's got his own shack.
Yeah. I wonder if he's part of a homeless HOA.
And in East Oakland, Ruiz says she hopes the issues along East 12th Street are resolved before school goes back in session or a child gets hurt.
It's dangerous. It's not safe.
Now, we did reach out to the city to address their citywide sweeps and the encampment near the school, but did not hear back in time for this report. Claudine?
All right, we'll certainly stand by for a response from the city. All right, thank you, Crystal.
Now,
Yeah,
it could
don't
be
wait up.
it could be possible, Johnny, that one of the reasons that this giant pile of trash has just been ignored for the past few weeks is that currently there is a opening in the city administrator's office because the former city administrator, Shangy's buddy, Justin Johnson, had to resign. And as we know, it's the city administrator that is the one that's responsible for calling sanitation saying, pick up all the trash. City council members can't do it. And right now we don't have a city administrator. So is it possible that that is leading to some of the slowdown here?
It's possible because, as Shang warned us, the bureaucracy is real.
Yes, she does. But where is it on this board? There we
The
go.
bureaucracy is real.
Now, speaking of Justin Johnson, who resigned earlier this year after text messages were revealed that he was really hot for a lot of his employees, although it really wasn't that scandalous. Members of the city council, including Ken Houston, want to give this guy $400,000 so he doesn't sue the city. For more on this, we go to KPIX.
We're taking a live look at Oakland right now, where a controversial proposal is raising some eyebrows at City Hall. One council member wants to pay nearly $500,000 to a former top administrator. Here's the backstory. Justin Johnson resigned after his text messages inappropriately describing female co-workers were released. Our Maddie White on what's behind the proposed payout.
Yeah, council member Ken Houston argues the payout could protect taxpayers from a much more costly legal fight.
It's the Please Don't Sue Me Fund.
Oh, yeah, because the man is now an unemployable pariah, so he needs to make it rain in Oakland.
This is interesting, too, because usually Ken Houston's one of the more normal members of the city council, but I guess he sees a big lawsuit coming.
Yeah, I would sue. Under these conditions, I would sue.
Councilmember Ken Houston
Apparently, it is not grounds for termination if you talk about how big one of your coworkers' asses is.
Well, but could you imagine how inappropriate his boss, Shang, probably was to him in those same text messages?
That's right. I like that. That was amazing.
We don't know about any text messages that he said about her, but I would be curious.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
worries. Former administrator Justin Johnson has grounds to sue the city of Oakland for wrongful termination.
I think so, because if he brought it up, okay, listen, it came at me all of a sudden. I was forced to resign.
Johnson resigned in May after public records revealed he sent texts describing female coworkers in inappropriate ways, calling one employee his kryptonite and commenting on the way she walked.
You know, compared to recent revelations of people running for office like Plattner in Maine, or people that were in office like Eric Swalwell, this is really small potatoes.
Yeah, this is pretty PG.
In another message about a department head, he said he had to force himself to only look into her eyes and that she had him a little giddy.
Okay, I gotta know what he said about Shangy.
Oh, can you imagine?
Absolutely.
When somebody makes a mistake, you reprimand, not destroy a man.
Hey, that rhymed.
He kind of sounded like a preacher there.
Let me play that again.
When somebody makes a mistake, you reprimand, not destroy a man.
Well, if this city council thing doesn't work out for you, Ken Houston, you could go run the Rainbow Push Coalition.
It sounds like it.
Houston points out that Johnson's contract said if he ever were to be fired without cause, he was entitled to 6 months of severance pay. But because he resigned after Mayor Barbara Lee said she will not tolerate the behavior, a severance was never given. It's why Houston...
So Barbara Lee didn't check all the contracts before she forced this guy to resign?
Sounds like Barbara Lee doesn't speak for thee.
and taking action.
Give him some money so he can move on with his life.
He wants to give Johnson $409,000 in taxpayer money in exchange for a signed agreement that he won't sue the city.
That's going to cost the city millions of dollars in legal fees inside and outside.
Houston's proposal was briefly shared at Thursday's council meeting, but he plans to open it for discussion after council recess.
I'm bringing it back.
In the meantime, some Oakland taxpayers are saying no way.
That doesn't make any sense to me. Like, why would we have to pay for somebody's naughtiness?
Well, that is a good point because the group that ran that city into the ground is now all looking to profit off of it.
Yep.
Liza Milan says she feels it's morally wrong to pay Johnson nearly $500,000.
It's just gross behavior, especially doing it in a workplace.
But others say they see the council member's point.
Now the fees for his lawyer, your lawyers, yeah, I'll weigh it out now. I'll give him $400,000, make him sign the agreement and leave it alone.
See, if you do the critical thinking here, you know that the city will lose this lawsuit and they will have to pay a ridiculous amount of money. So let's pay him $400K to make it go away. It might be the best of all the bad options.
Well, just think about this. The same people who vote in Oakland sit on the juries in Oakland.
Request for comment from Johnson has not yet been returned.
And Houston also says he has not been in contact with Johnson about the potential severance payout.
So there you go. The city of Oakland may be paying out their former city administrator who they forced to resign, Justin Johnson, just so he doesn't sue over that.
Well, if the councilman gets his way, it'll be a good day for the strip clubs. It's the John Phillips Show. It's the John Phillips Show. 800-222-5222 is telephone number. 1-800-222-5222. If you're watching us live on YouTube, make sure to hit that like button. We're just under 100. We'd love to see that number go as high as possible. All right. It's not just tough being a school kid in the city of Oakland. It's also tough being a firefighter.
And a fire inspector. If you're going through the Oakland Hills to make sure that, I don't know, the city doesn't have a whole bunch of brush that could burn like in the Oakland Hills fires from the 90s, well, apparently the wildfire inspectors have been getting attacked. For more on this, we go to ABC 7 in the Bay.
At 11, the Oakland Fire Department says a series of attacks on firefighters has the department changing how it handles wildfire prevention inspections. Firefighters are tasked with checking vegetation around homes in the Oakland Hills, but the department is now pausing inspections on people's properties because of safety concerns. ABC 7 Eyewitness News reporter Tim Johns explains the change.
In a series of letters sent both to internal staff and the city administrator, the Oakland Fire Department laying out changes to how it will conduct annual vegetation inspections.
Our firefighters are doing the inspections from the public right-of-way only, not accessing the public's private property.
That change taking effect after a series of intimidation tactics or intentional...
Intimidation tactics?
Okay, if a firefighter is conducting an investigation and someone attacks the firefighter, can't they just sick the Dalmatian on him?
Attacks against OFD members. The most recent happening less than 2 weeks ago.
On July 4th, we had a firefighter who unfortunately was attacked by multiple dogs.
OFD says they had already...
Wait, so someone sicked their dogs on the firefighter just checking to see if all the brush was cleared? Come on, Oakland.
Completed around 80% of inspections for this year before the new rules took effect. OFD's policy change is not proving popular with many of the neighbors we spoke with on Thursday. In fact, several of them tell me they worry it could increase the risk of disaster striking. That includes people like Nancy Gillette.
It's just a terrible shame that there's anything that would interrupt full inspections.
Gillette lived in the area for years and still has family there. She tells me she lived through the 1991 Oakland Hills firestorm. An experience, she says, helped shape her view of the critical importance of fire prevention.
Spent that whole Sunday.
You know, that was another fire they called a holdover fire, reignition from an older fire.
On our roof and on our deck with the hoses running to put out embers that were flying down.
The fire department says it's considering other ways to conduct the inspections moving forward. Things like drones and even artificial intelligence are being talked about. But for many everyday Oaklanders, they prefer...
Well, okay, so the firefighters got attacked for trying to inspect the homes. John, what do you think's going to happen to the drones that are flying over?
I think they're going to get shot at, too.
For things the old-fashioned way.
I think there are certain things that need a human person to actually go look at all the different parameters and all the variables.
Yeah, but the insurance plan for OFD isn't that good.
Well, just imagine being a letter carrier in those neighborhoods if they're just sicking their dogs on people who show up.
OFD says the firefighter who was attacked by the dogs has since made a full recovery. In Oakland, Tim Johns, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
You know, it's stories like this that are just emblematic of my favorite Oakland drop of the year.
You can't have nice things, but it's a nice place to be.
Well, just think about this for a second. You have a fire inspector who's going through the neighborhood to try to make sure your house doesn't burn down. So how do you show your thanks? You sick some mangy mud on them.
Listener Cairo writes in, mad respect to the Oakland Fire Department. At this rate, responding to a call requires a black belt in urban navigation just to get down the street. D. Proud writes in, it was probably someone growing weed and didn't want to get busted. And Katie writes in, the firefighters obviously need to be escorted by social workers.
Well, I'm sure they don't get taught about any of this at firefighter school, where you're going out to conduct an investigation and you have to deal with Old Yeller the last 15 minutes of the movie.
Richard writes in, it's time for Mad Max to come to Oakland's rescue.
No kidding. Well, last laugh will be on the people who live there, because if they can't do their investigations, then that neighborhood's going to burn down. Idiots. All right, we've got 2 more hours coming up on the John Phillips Show. The Fix California hours next. We'll give you an update on that disgusting disaster in Boyle Heights. Later on in the program, Ryan Gerdusky joins us. Don't you go anywhere, and if you're watching on YouTube, hit that like button. It helps us with the algorithm, and it pushes us out in front of a broader, larger audience. So help us out and hit that like button. It's the John Phillips Show.
Something's not right here.
Crime is up all over the state.
The homelessness in the city is out of control.
The economy is sick. Taxes are high.
Housing is expensive and businesses are leaving.
California needs fixing. And John Phillips is just the man to lead the charge. It's the Fix California Hour with John Phillips and Randy Wang.
And we continue at 1:05 in the afternoon on the John Phillips Show. Mr. Randy Weggs in Toronto, Canada.
John, it is time for what is now becoming our daily segment of...
You can smell it right here.
Because the situation in Boyle Heights with the rotting food in the cold storage facility isn't getting any better anytime soon, as over the weekend, we officially marked 30 days since this disaster began, and it doesn't look like it's ending anytime soon.
There is no substitute to standing here and smelling it and seeing it yourself.
And you know, last week we talked to Steve Hilton, who went down there multiple times, and he said the descriptions of how foul the odor is don't do it justice. That unless you were physically there and smelled it yourself, you really don't know what these neighbors are going through. In fact, the more I think about it, the only person who could potentially relate to what the people of Boyle Heights are going through is potentially Jeffrey Dahmer's neighbor.
You could smell it right now.
For more on this, let's go to a report from NBC in Los Angeles.
And it's been exactly 1 month since the fire broke out at Lineage Warehouse in Boyle Heights.
And yes, in case you can see the title of the news story, the title of this news story is, quote, "Smells like a dead cat." I don't know how they knew what that smelled like, but I'll take their word for it.
Lasted a week, but the cleanup and the environmental concerns are far from over. NBC4's Amber Frias spoke with people who live near the warehouse about the concerns they still have.
People living near the warehouse are still dealing with the consequences. What started as days of heavy smoke continued with weeks of overpowering odors and ongoing cleanup efforts.
The latest numbers are that we've cleared about 2% of all the garbage.
Good job.
Karen Bass says this will all be wrapped up by mid-August. I don't think so.
Who live here tell us this fire has changed nearly every aspect of their lives. For 1 month, life in Boyle Heights has been lived mostly behind masks, closed windows and doors with no clear end in sight. What started as a warehouse fire has turned into a long recovery, still impacting the community. We're just waiting for things to get better because it's been so hard, says Gloria Enriquez, who lives near Lineage Logistics.
It's not getting better anytime soon, baby.
Where's her mask, by the way?
It all began on June 17th around 2:30 p.m. when flames broke out at the Lineage Logistics cold storage warehouse on Los Palos Street in Boyle Heights. Firefighters initially attacked the fire from inside, but concerns over a possible ammonia leak forced crews to pull back and fight the fire from the outside. As thick smoke spread across...
Which is funny, too, because the guy who did the PR at the town hall meeting where Bass and Ferrer got cussed out for Lineage claimed there was never any chance of ammonia leaking. What are you talking about?
The area that same day, neighbors were told to shelter in place. The orders were lifted late that evening and reinstated the next morning on June 18th.
Joy, it's almost like they made it a very confusing situation for the locals.
Lasting one more day.
Right now, what we're doing is we are covering all of our houses, like the windows with plastic bags, and we're sealing it with duct tape.
By June 8th.
I don't know if that's something you want to do.
No, they're turning their homes into a Dexter kill scene.
Crews discovered the fire had spread deep inside the building's insulated freezer walls. It was then that the Los Angeles Fire Department said the roof was no longer stable, and with that...
Couldn't they have gotten that guy a bulldozer?
You'd think. He's doing it the old school way.
He's just, Look, I know it's a tough time and it's an emergency situation, but that seems like an inefficient use of resources, putting a tiny sledgehammer hole in that massive wall.
Thousands of rooftop solar panels overhead, it was no longer safe for them to go inside. On June 20th,
But it was safe for all the neighbors to breathe the air? I'm so confused.
Well, that's what Barbara Ferrer said.
as air quality concerns grew, the city declared a local emergency to bring in more resources. 5 days later, the fire was finally declared knocked down.
But that doesn't actually mean it was out.
No.
Because they still couldn't have the people go inside and take the food out, because even though the fire was knocked down, they were still constantly pouring water on it for days on end because of hot spots inside the building. Obviously, that's a good thing to do, but then that led to yet another disaster, John, in that you had all of this water flowing out of the building full of toxic and bacteria-filled materials going out into the ocean.
That's right. Enjoy the weekend, surfers.
Department said there were no more active flames. But for the neighborhood, the real challenge was just beginning.
Horrible. Smells like a dead cat.
Well, if that cat had 9 lives, that chemical fire certainly took them all.
Honestly, it just smells like a dead cat. Like every single time you walk out, it's just horrible.
An estimated 85 million pounds of frozen food inside the warehouse began to spoil. Since June 28th.
And many people have pointed out, and it's an interesting thing to think about. Would this situation have been worse if they just let the building burn to the ground, because then all the food would have cooked?
That's a good question.
I mean, I know you can't do that, but the ensuing disaster of all the unfrozen rotting meat seems to be way worse than the things they were dealing with the fire.
At least for those who live there.
Crews have removed hundreds of truckloads of spoiled food and debris, while city officials.
And what did we learn on Friday? All of that spoiled food is going to your county, Johnny. It's going to El Sobrante near Corona.
Great.
Expanded air quality monitoring, opened a recovery center, and increased pest control efforts.
Wait, they're giving people out Powerade? That'll do it? I saw Powerade commercials during the World Cup final, and I was like, Powerade, we still make this. Powerade, none of the athletes actually drink it.
Maybe the assumption is if you have to live in that mess, they assume that you're having to drink yourself to sleep every single night. And when you wake up in the morning, you need to rehydrate.
If that's the case, then they really should have given everyone Pedialyte, because that's the cheat code.
And on July 9th, angry neighbors packed a community meeting.
There's Babs. You can see her right there in the white lab coat, looking like she hasn't gotten sun in about 170 years.
Demanding answers about lingering odors and possible health concerns.
We're breathing all this. It didn't just go away.
The South Coast Air Quality.
They had to stop the tape right there, because, Johnny, what happened right after that?
Oh, Barbara Ferrer got cursed out in both English and Spanish.
No, thank you.
Management District has since issued a notice of violation saying odors from the cleanup created dozens of public complaints.
Ya no queremos que pase más por el bienestar de nuestras familias.
Today, neighbors say they don't want any more complications.
Now, wait a minute. This guy's selling tacos right next to Ground Zero?
Yes, and Johnny, what was on those tacos was a bunch of lettuce.
Who in the world is going to eat a taco off the street right next to that mess? Every video that we've seen prior to this one shows people dry heaving because the smell is so bad. What do you think the odds are you're going to end up throwing up if you have to breathe that odor in and then eat a taco that was made on the sidewalk?
Listener Mark writes in on YouTube, I thought all the food was going to be dumped on the street in Oakland.
You know, this has really been an issue for the city of excuse me.
Jonathan writes in on Twitch, the lettuce was to help with the digestion.
Life back. Mayor Karen Bass has given Lineage until August 13 to finish the cleanup. With
That's not that long from now, and they're at 2%. She can't even help herself with giving out incredibly unrealistic timelines for everything. Homelessness, I'll solve that in 4 years. No, she didn't. The water main break, oh, that'll be done in just a couple of days. No, it wasn't. The warehouse fire and all the rotting food, 6 weeks. Nope. You can't believe any timeline she gives you. She's the worst contractor you've ever hired.
less than a month until that deadline, people who live in the area say they'll be keeping a close eye to see if these promises turn into results. In Boyle Heights, Amber Frias, NBC4 News.
And if they're not, what are you going to do? Vote for Nithya?
What do you think he's charging for those tacos?
So, speaking of tacos, this is what's going on right now in the neighborhood of Boyle Heights. But imagine if you were a small business like a small fish taco restaurant right next to the facility. How do you think business is right now, Johnny?
Well, probably better than that guy if he's selling pig's feet tacos.
For more on this, we go to CBS LA.
Months since a warehouse fire devastated Boyle Heights and East LA, the South Coast Air Quality Management District is demanding additional odor controls from Lineage. From the smoke to now the smell and infestation of flies and rats, the community is...
Seriously, this sounds like a biblical plague. All you need now are the locusts.
struggling.
And CBS LA's Hunter Sowards joins us live now with how one small business is saying they might have to close. Hunter?
Yeah, it's really sad here, Pat and Ruta Bay. The business behind me, La Palapa, is just blocks away from where the warehouse fire started. And I met the owner about a week after it started, and I wanted to check in with her today. She tells me things are only getting worse. Giovanna Garcia has been whipping...
Don't worry, that was cabbage. It's going to be okay.
Not lettuce.
I don't think we have a problem with cabbage right now. It's just the iceberg lettuce at Taco Bell.
Up some of the best fish tacos in East LA for 12 years now.
Okay, those look pretty damn good.
Yeah, go take a big whiff right outside the front door, and then you tell me how good they look.
I said they looked good. I didn't say they smelled good. I've got a video screen and 3,000 miles in between me and her tacos. So they look good.
Business, it's hard. It's hard to live like that.
The last month has been anything but business as usual. Since the Lineage fire sparked 1 month ago, La Palapa has seen at least an 80% drop in customers.
Customers.
I want to meet the 20% because those are some loyal fans.
What's wrong with them?
Yesterday left the food here and they go because the smell was so bad. So
they didn't even finish their food.
No, they left the food and they, what is this thing? They asked me.
Giovanna's.
So that's her customer base now. People who have never seen the news in their entire life.
What is this stink? They didn't even take the tacos to go. That is defeating.
You know, I was going to suggest that her customer base is now just people with cast iron stomachs. But now I'm going to amend that and say her customer base are people who don't read the papers, don't listen to the radio, don't watch the television, and don't have a smartphone.
You can smell it right here.
You can smell it right now.
Been forced to let her employees go, working alone or depending on her family for help.
I love her food. I like when she cooks for me.
Her 8-year-old Emilio is out on summer break.
Kid, you're going to have to be eating a lot of leftover fish tacos for a while.
Get that kid some smelling salts.
And is having to watch his mom struggle.
And help my mom. Help my mom to work, keep the business.
Lineage is facing growing violations for the rancid, rotting smell, pushing customers away. With 700 complaints so far, Giovanna got 1,000.
Those complaints don't mean anything. There's nothing that can be done here. The warehouse is moving as fast as they're going to go, and the state doesn't have any interest in paying attention to this, or the feds. This is a disaster zone that's being completely ignored.
And your council member is aware of the fire. The only people who aren't aware of that fire are apparently her last 5 customers.
Dollars to help with costs, just a fraction of what she needs to keep operating.
So this woman had to let go her staff. She cannot sell the fish tacos because people can't deal with the smell. And she got $1,000. Yeah, that'll do it. It's pretty on the nose that the scrolling headlines on the CBS LA piece under this are about the cyclosporiasis from Taco Bell. It's not a good week for tacos, folks.
No, it's not.
$1,000 is nothing, It's nothing.
We need to support our people, our friends, and everything.
Giovanna with a shot of hope today during a hopeless moment, a line outside of a restaurant for the first time in weeks.
It's hard, right, for our community, but I think this is a moment just to be together and just to support us each other.
She says she doesn't know
Could
what
that
she's
woman's glasses be any bigger?
to do if she is forced to close.
Really hard because we need to pay the bills, the rent, everything.
What if the city or the county are interested in waiving some business fees, property taxes? No, we don't want to do any of that, huh?
No, because if you owe them money, they will send a helicopter over your house and have someone descend from a cable down your chimney to get it. They can't do anything else right. They can't fill the potholes. They can't make sure the pipes are in working order. They can't make sure the fire hydrants have water in them. But if you owe them money, they're right on top of you.
One of countless stories, but so tough to hear. Now, I can say the smell had really improved. It was the best that we have smelled in the last month, but I got to tell you, the wind just shifted.
Oh, no.
No more taco sales tonight.
That's why everyone showed up, because the wind was blowing in the other direction.
And now it's blowing our direction, and it is just rancid. Now, Lineage has until mid-August to get this cleaned up. Of course, people who live in the area hope it happens much faster. Reporting live in Boyle Heights, Hunter Sowards, CBS LA.
Hunter, thank you.
Does anybody believe that this is going to be cleaned up by mid-August?
And where the hell is Gavin Newsom?
Well, he did a podcast with Chris Christie. Outside of that, he seems to be in hiding.
What a profile and courage.
Yeah, you've had Senator Alex Padilla came down here. I don't think Schiff has, but yeah, the governor of the state of California, amid this disaster and the disaster with the pipes in West Hollywood, has no interest in being down here. He does not want you to see what his governorship leads to.
We need to have Gavin Newsom show up to Boyle Heights and have a plate of tacos from that woman's taco stand.
Listener Tubular Bra, I love these names, writes in on YouTube, I think we can all agree that tomorrow is the first Taco-less Tuesday SoCal has ever endured.
Well, it is from that taco stand. It's the John Phillips Show.
No purchase necessary to enter or win. Sweepstakes open to U.S. residents only, except New York and Florida. 18 and older. Rent 11/126. Void where prohibited. For official rules, visit CarProSweeps.com. Sponsor Acuity Marketing, Inc. DBA CarPro.
Now is one of the best times to enter to win a 26 Corvette Stingray at CarPro.com. For a limited time, qualifying entry packages receive up to 30 times the entries when a brand new 2026 Corvette Stingray or $40,000 cash. This special launch promotion won't last long, so don't wait. Go to CarPro.com today and get entered. And if you're in the market for a car, don't fool around with dealer games. Go get VIP service with amazing pricing at CarPro.com. These guys know Southern California dealers like the back of their hand. They'll only send you to the good ones and avoid the bad ones like the plague. The best part is it's completely free for you. Go to carpro.com, put in your zip code and what you're looking for, or you can call or text Tom Haynes directly on his cell phone at 818-435-6797. Stop doing it the hard way. Go to carpro.com. It's the John Phillips Show. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number. 1-800-222-5222. If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And Randy, you can not only listen to us on the radio, but watch us on YouTube and click the like button.
We are broadcasting live on the radio on 790 KABC and 810 KSFO, but now every single day from noon to 3, we also broadcast live on video. You can watch us at youtube.com/@Randy Wang Radio, react to the stories along with us, play around in the chat room, and see all the silly graphics we put up during the commercial breaks. You can also hit that like button. We really appreciate it. It helps YouTube decide that we're popular and they should push us out to more people. And it's a good dopamine drip for us, so keep it going.
And the next edition of the Accountability Podcast is going to be all about Gavin Newsom's corruption.
We did an entire podcast on Gavin Newsom and his dirty diaper dealings, as well as the other corruption investigations that Gavin Newsom announced on himself. And that podcast goes live on Wednesday at midnight. So make sure you're subscribed so you get it. YouTube.com/@Accountability Podcast. I'm going to put a link in the chat during the break.
It's the John Phillips Show. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number. 1-800-222-5222. And Randy, one of the most common questions we get is a request for a sound drop that we play on the show. But if we get to 2,500 subscriptions on the Accountability Podcast, you're going to go ahead and make that website with all of those drops live.
We have a website that we have built. It has the top 100 sound drops of the John Phillips Show that you can play on your computer. You can even play it on your phone. I have it on my phone right now. Scrub it. And this thing is a lot of fun, but we can't give it to you until we get to 2,500 subscribers on the Accountability Podcast at youtube.com/@Accountability Podcast. So tell your friends, tell your family. We're at 1,354 subscribers for the Accountability Podcast. And when we get to 2,500, you get that soundboard website for yourself.
In the meantime, what do you say we make a couple of listeners very happy?
Well, let's do that right now. 790 KABC welcomes Revolution with special guest Skip Marley at the Pacific Amphitheater at the OC Fair on Sunday, August 9th. Tickets are on sale now at packamp.com. But right now, caller number 9 at 1-888-795-2222 gets a pair of tickets to the show. All concert tickets include admission to the OC Fair. Tickets furnished by the Pacific Amphitheater. Good luck dialing.
And right now, it's time to open up the California Crime Blotter.
It's happened yet again.
It's Wild Wild West out here.
Dun, 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 dun. It's the California Crime Blotter with John
and Randy.
And the first edition of today's blotter takes us to Randy's neck of the woods.
Well, currently I'm in Toronto, but my home is the San Fernando Valley, and my home is being burglarized yet again. Not my actual house, but the neighborhoods in which I live near, and in fact, the neighborhood where I lived really close to back in the day. Here is a Studio City home burglary caught on camera. Here's Fox 11 in Los Angeles.
New tonight, burglars hit homes in Studio City and Brentwood days after another reported break-in at a home in Sherman Oaks.
Crime's down, though. Record low levels.
Oh, yeah. And if you were smart enough to understand statistics, you'd understand that too.
It's happened yet again.
Fox 11's Andres Gutierrez is live in Studio City with details on what happened there. Andres.
Yeah, good evening, Susan. The victims in this case, a married couple, wouldn't go on camera, but told me this crew of criminals circled this block several times before moving in. The wife says what happened next was surgical and fast.
7 minutes. That's how long a Studio City homeowner says 3 mass burglars needed to smash through her rear sliding door and steal about $100,000 worth in valuables.
Even if we had a fully staffed LAPD, they're not responding in 7 minutes. These are pros.
And now, if you see a car driving around a neighborhood over and over and over again, you just think it's some confused Uber Eats driver.
He was out of town, but watched on their phone as the crew...
You know, it gets desperate when somebody wearing flip-flops and pajama shorts starts running out to the middle of the street to flag down the driver. I'm right here. Give me my food.
Give me the foot. I'm hungry.
Moved through the house, grabbing purses, jewelry, and Nike sneakers. Officers arrived to find the house empty.
Where there's a will, there's a...
That's a little strange. So we're going to steal all the jewelry. We're going to steal all the purses, and we're going to steal your gym shoes.
How about the Star Trek Signature Series mugs or the Elvis collectible plates?
Amanda Furman lives a few doors down. Just a couple of nights ago, thieves siphoned gas out of her car and broke into her friend's car who was over for a visit.
Holy cow, we're still gas siphoning in 2026?
Maybe it was Al Bundy.
Gas out of my car and I feel violated. So I can't imagine
coming into someone's home and taking $100,000 worth of things. Like, that's got to feel awful, and it's scary. You have to sleep in that house at night knowing that someone got into it.
Other neighbors are heightening their security measures.
They have more cameras every time.
Well, that'll be more footage for Fox 11, but that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to stop them.
I leave the house, I leave it all lights on, that they will know, they will think that someone is in the house. I'm hoping that will help.
Gila Vac Night is also keeping a close eye on suspicious cars and people while walking Bamba.
I'm scared, honestly. I've been scared for hearing everything that's going on in this neighborhood, and not just here. I hear it's all over. That's my.
What do you think she's doing, Nithya or Bass?
Well, there's no good option, so I don't know. My hope is she leaves it blank.
Biggest fear.
Because around the same time Friday night, around 11:30, when the trio of thieves were hitting the house in Studio City, across town in Brentwood, two burglars in dark clothes were ransacking a house on Teakwood Road. They took off before police arrived.
Anybody inside this property, this is the LAPD. Come out one by one with the...
See, there's a little difference between the stories in the Valley and the story in Brentwood. The cops actually show up in Brentwood.
Well, Brentwood is one of the safest parts of the city of Los Angeles. I mean, who can think of any crime that's ever taken place there?
Hands up!
Then just last week in Sherman Oaks, another shattered glass door. This time, a family with a young child were in the home at the time of the crime. Officers searched room to room, guns drawn, and walked them out safely. Back at Studio City, neighbors would like to see an increase in patrols.
Cops don't go over the hill.
At what point did we just turn into Brazil?
It's been a long time coming.
Certainly worse crimes happening in the city of Los Angeles, but regardless, it is a crime and it is dangerous. And I've had neighbors with break-ins when they're home. So I think it's something, it's been going on for a while. I think they need to take it more seriously.
Now, police haven't said if these three break-ins are connected, and so far no arrests have been made.
Well, that's the part of the story that you always know is coming when it's a story in Los Angeles County or the city of Los Angeles.
Like clockwork.
If you have any information regarding these cases, you are asked to call the LA Regional Crime Stoppers hotline. Their number is right there on your screen, 1-800-222-TIPS. Reporting live.
That's a P. The other letter would be a different hotline.
Well, I think that'll get you the guy in Long Beach.
Studio City tonight. I'm Andres Gutierrez, Fox 11 News.
So
Pinkies
there you
girls.
go. Whole bunch of break-ins going on in the San Fernando Valley yet again.
You know, if you dial the other number, you might get Bill Clinton, too.
Listener One Mad Hatter says these people need to calm down because crime is down. And listener Cairo writes in, if it was Al Bundy siphoning gas, you'd know because the Dodge only gets 3 blocks to the gallon at this point. Got to keep that classic running.
All right, Randy, it's time to reopen the blotter.
If the cashier is dummy.
We couldn't make this stuff up if we tried.
I said, hell no, baby boy. Let me get up on out of here.
It's the California Crime Blotter.
And this edition of the blotter involves a woman who ran a non-for-profit organization in the Bay Area before she then went on to become a very high-paid bureaucrat and then had a kind of a Margot Kidder event.
The new city manager of Sausalito has been arrested 3 weeks after starting her new gig for trying to steal a boat.
Isn't that piracy?
Well, yes, it is. For more, here is ABC 7 in the Bay.
Elaine Forbes, Sausalito city manager and former Port of San Francisco executive director, arrested Saturday morning just before 7 for felony burglary along a Sausalito boat dock.
I think we got to call that piracy.
100% it's piracy. She may not be wearing an eye patch or have a parrot, but when you steal a boat, that's what it is.
Now, because of the nature of the crime, does she need a typical criminal defense attorney or is she going to need a maritime lawyer?
She might need both, but in California, I don't think they're going to put her in jail for anything. If she stole a boat in Texas, though, they might make her walk the plank.
He was honking the horn. All these large yachts have a very, very loud horn, because you're out in the ocean, you got to be heard. And so when you honk that thing, I'm sure most people have heard what those sound like. That was going on for a good hour, 2 hours. So it was pretty severe.
Witnesses. She's just out there honking the horn on a yacht over and over and over again.
I think she woke Gilligan up.
Tell us, Forbes was on at least 2 boats, including the Lisa Marie, located in the shadows of the well-known restaurant, the Spinnaker. The Marin County Sheriff's Office says that it appears that Forbes tried to start the boat by, quote, manipulating levers and switches in an attempt to steal the boat.
She was trying to steal Lisa Marie? She's lucky
Also,
Michael Jackson's dead.
Tell us it appears that bottles of alcohol on those boats were either consumed or poured out.
I'm going to go with consumed.
Yeah, poured out. Come on. You know what pirates do? Have you ever been on the ride at Disneyland? Not one of them is drinking a Snapple.
It's yo-ho-ho and a bottle of rum.
You wouldn't expect someone in that kind of position of responsibility to be trying to break into boats in the yacht harbor.
In a statement,
that guy's going to have a story to go back to.
Elaine Forbes' family says that she is experiencing a mental health crisis.
Oh, what a novel excuse.
Oh, yeah. It's not just that she's a big fat drunk. She was experiencing a mental health event.
The mental health event that led her to chug a bunch of Clase Azul on the yacht in Marin.
I wonder if she had a badge on when she was doing all this. It said Captain Morgan.
Late Sunday, Forbes was still in jail.
Numerous people told me they're hopeful that this arrest is a wake-up call and that Forbes gets the help that she needs. My concern is that the poor person gets, obviously the help they need to be able to get beyond this, which is a combination of probably a mental problem as well as, alcohol.
Can we start with alcohol?
Look, we could see the empty glass right there. She cut a lemon. Put a lemon wedge in there.
Confusing, and it's a little sad, and I hope that they're okay, and it sounds like probably somebody else should be doing that job.
Forbes' work status had just been addressed last Thursday. A spokesperson for the city of Sausalito says at that time, City Council met in closed session and approved a leave of absence for Forbes.
She just started.
What was it, 3 months ago?
3 weeks. You got to have some cojones to start a job and 3 weeks later say, I'm going to need some time off.
How bad must that council be if they sat through interviews with someone who's certifiable and none of them could tell?
They went to her and said, how about some time on?
Not going.
Which was a real thing that one of my old colleagues got said to when he asked for a bunch of time off. I think you know who.
I do.
Into any detail beyond that. Forbes spent the prior 9 years as executive director of the Port of San Francisco before stepping down last year. In Sausalito, J.R. Stone, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
So I'm sure there's a lot more information going to come about this one, as the woman who has only been in charge of Sausalito for 3 weeks got arrested for trying to steal a boat.
So this woman goes out to the docks and she decides she's going to hijack the Nina and the Pinta. She's going to sit on the horn for 2 consecutive hours and she's going to drink anything that pours that she can find on that vessel.
Listener Gravity Theory writes in, sauced Alito.
Well, that's not far from wine country, is it?
Just a little up further. She was going to take the boat up for a little wine cruise.
Maybe if they throw her in the clink, she can teach all the other inmates how to make toilet tank wine.
It's so funny, though, when I think about Marin, and I think about drinking, I'm immediately remembering a couple of weeks ago when some of our listeners told us about all the great times to be had if you're on the ferry out of San Francisco up through Marin on a Friday night during happy hour. That does sound like a real good time.
Who do you think owns the Lisa Marie?
I don't want to know. Radio Roger writes in, Randy, we had kids out of college on their first job demanding time off after just a month.
Maybe that vessel belongs to the colonel. It's possible.
Listener Barry writes in, I wonder how many shots it would take before she pointed and said, you can smell it right here.
You can smell it right here.
It sounds like she never made it out of the harbor.
She did not. She didn't have any keys. That's why she kept honking the horn.
It sounds like she did what I do in every single rental car I get, which is just press all the buttons.
Listener Twins Mommy for Life, I love these usernames, says, is she friends with Dana Williamson?
Sounds like the life of the party. I know her favorite ride at Disneyland. It's the John Phillips Show. It's the John Phillips Show. 800-222-5222 is telephone number. 1-800-222-5222. Now we're on to the most obvious headline in the history of broadcasting. Taco Bell has sent thousands to the latrines.
For more on the situation nationwide about people freaking out about Taco Bell lettuce, here is ABC 7 in the Bay.
Well, so now that the source has been identified, or at least one of them, many people are asking if it's safe to eat lettuce or other types of produce. ABC 7 Eyewitness News anchor.
How many people listening right now didn't even know Taco Bell had lettuce?
Cameron Bopp went searching for answers. He joins us live now from San Francisco. Cameron?
Hey, Kristen, yeah, if you've been skipping over the leafy green aisle or the produce aisle altogether, you're really not alone. I'm standing right behind, right in front of Gus's Community Market right now. They say they receive recall alerts daily. Should anything need to be pulled off the shelves, they will do that when the time comes. They haven't had to do that with any of their leafy greens.
There are so many people who thought they're going to finally get on that diet, finally start eating clean, and then take this as a sign to go right back to the cheeseburgers.
Well, I mean, if you eat the contaminated lettuce, you probably will lose weight.
Right now. But as the investigation continues, as cases continue to rise across the country, the news today is reassuring. It really narrows down what shoppers should and should not be concerned about. For this family visiting San Francisco from LA, Taco Bell is usually an easy sell.
The Dorito taco with cheese and meat.
But she forgot one ingredient.
Cheese, meat, lettuce.
It's that lettuce, now at the center.
The kid knows what's up.
Uh-oh. Mom's going to go heavy on the lettuce, huh? How'd you like to be on the plane sitting next to her when they go home?
Psoriasis outbreak. Health officials have linked illnesses to shredded iceberg lettuce served at Taco Bell restaurants in several states, though not California. Investigators have.
Of all the news stories of 2026, this is the one that's definitely the most on the nose.
You know who's happiest about this?
Who?
Chipotle.
However, identified at least one likely source, Taylor Farms, based in nearby Salinas. The company has pulled iceberg lettuce sourced from one farm in Mexico and says no other products, including pre-cut produce and packaged salads, are affected. Still,
Kind of makes you cautious and, just second guessing what you're eating and putting in your body.
the investigation into a...
While
Now, wait a
standing
minute.
in front of a Taco Bell.
Yeah, if you were so concerned about that, you wouldn't be standing there, lady.
I don't care that the beef really isn't beef, that the beans are rehydrated. No, it doesn't matter any of that. It's the lettuce that's the problem.
Potential source
Doesn't matter that the cheese ends with a Z.
or sources is still ongoing, but health experts say narrowing it to lettuce is a good sign for shoppers.
Some mini tacos.
But leafy greens aren't making some shoppers' lists at all right now.
I let the flash of the guy in front of Trader Joe's just has ice cream sandwiches.
Next time, though.
Just try to find a reliable source, probably. I don't know.
So does this mean skipping fresh produce altogether? Stanford infectious disease expert Dr. David Relman says no.
If the concern is Cyclospora right now, I think the evidence sounds pretty strong that it's lettuce.
With investigators zeroing in on lettuce, Relman says there's no reason to avoid every fruit and vegetable you buy. And while Taylor Farms is headquartered just down the road in Salinas, he says that doesn't make California shoppers any more at risk.
So there you go. Nothing to be too worried about, but you might want to skip the lettuce for quite a while.
Remember when Kramer used to wash the lettuce in the shower with himself?
Yes, I do.
Maybe he's at fault. We've got one more hour coming up on the John Phillips Show. Don't you go anywhere.
We can agree to disagree, but our views are unapologetically right. It's the John Phillips Show.
And we continue at 2:05 in the afternoon on the John Phillips Show. Mr. Randy Wang's in Toronto, Canada.
Listener Barry writes in at on YouTube at Randy Wang Radio. I bought a healthy Taylor Farm salad for lunch, heard these reports, and decided to take my chances with a pastrami sandwich from the hat.
Sounds good to me.
Now, Johnny, before we get into this segment this hour, I feel that we need to do a very special shout out because it is our booker, Trisha Cruz's birthday today.
Happy birthday, Trisha.
And for you, Trisha, for all the great work you do on this show, booking the guests, we have a very special treat, a very special birthday singer.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Alan. Happy birthday to you.
Did you see that he and Hunter celebrated yesterday's World Cup game with some ice cream?
It's pretty on brand.
I wonder if Hunter's was rum raisin.
He says he's clean now.
Uh-huh. Didn't he just go on with Nick Fuentes?
I haven't caught that podcast. I try to explore a lot of different avenues of the internet. I don't go down those rabbit holes. So if he did that podcast, I'm not going to know about it.
Okay, if he's showing that kind of judgment, I'm doubting his sobriety. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number, 1-800-222-5222. It is our pleasure to welcome our next guest to the program. He is the author of the book, They're Not Listening, How the Elites Created the National Populist Revolution. And
no, I think he dropped. No. What happened? He had connected. I had him ready to go in the room. There he is.
All right. Well, let me finish the intro. He's also the host of the A Numbers Game podcast, which you can download wherever you download your favorite podcasts. You can also follow him on X at Ryan Girdusky. Ryan Girdusky, welcome.
Thank you. Sorry about the technical issues.
Oh, my gosh. That couch behind you looks fantastic. I need to redecorate my living room.
I thought it was like a professional background. I know there would be a bed in the background of another guest, so I was like, okay, I gotta spruce.
Okay. Well, so much to get into. Let's start out with a tweet that Ron Brownstein, who is a former colleague of mine over at CNN, a tweet that he put out suggesting that the Democrats are really underperforming right now where they should be in the midterms, given the fact that you have a president who has a relatively low approval rating. It's year 6 in his presidency, which is historically when the party in power gets hammered. The electorate is upset with Iran right now. They're upset with gas prices. They're very fearful about the future in terms of AI. There are subjects that the Democrats could really sink their teeth into to give themselves a real bounce in the upcoming elections. But instead of making this election a referendum on Trump and bringing up those issues, they've decided to turn it into a referendum on the Jews and make it about abolishing ICE and getting rid of the prisons and getting rid of the police and all of those sorts of things. Rehabilitating Mao, I saw that one recently on my feed. What the hell are they doing, and are they going to manage to lose an election that they should win comfortably?
Well, I don't think they're going to lose the election. I think that there is definitely issues, though, by the number of theater kids who've entered the Democratic primary field in various states. I mean, you have Abdul El-Sayed doing Blues Clues reenactments. Haley Stevens has put on a 1930s League of Their Own style accent around Michigan while campaigning. Mandani, the failed rapper, is constantly performing. And it is a distraction. AOC is now a serious politics, given the field and how it is filled with people who are failed entertainers, and they are extremists on issues that they care about, but either they're on the wrong side of the issue or no one else really cares about it. So they're missing the mark where they should hit it. And they themselves are unattractive at a time when if they were moderately attractive to the electorate, they would be surging. And right now they are performing better than the general electorate, better than they were in 2024, but behind where the general electorate should be.
In Maine, because the oyster farmer imploded, the party got to choose who would replace him on the ballot. And they could choose literally any politician in the state. And instead of going with some normal Democrat that would just run on the subjects that we talked about and probably have a pretty good chance of winning that seat against a vulnerable Republican, Susan Collins, they decided to double down on the crazy and go with someone who made the DSA happy. And you think to yourself, okay, I get it if there's a primary that they lose control of and they get a candidate that they would prefer not to have. But then you get a do-over and you pick someone who's just as nutty.
Yeah, I mean, Troy Jackson, the logger is what he calls himself. He is a Bernie Sanders activist. I think he ran for governor and lost with Bernie Sanders' backing. But that's where they are. And I'll give a reference to a Republican. In Virginia, they don't hold primaries. They hold conventions where it's basically what they did in Maine. The party picks the nominee. And the party picked Glenn Youngkin because that was a coherent, sane, rational person who was a business background that could win in Virginia. And they hadn't won a Virginia governorship in some time. In Maine, this is where the party is. The party is, it's the person who is the average delegate to the Democratic Party for these caucuses. It's like the magician who's a DSA activist and adopts random Somali children on the side. Like it's something they all have like these weird fixations on these random things. And it harkens back to like the Howard Dean coalition of 2004 manifested itself into the entire Democratic Party. And that's why I think the Democrats are really going to work on trying to build a primary process where they run primarily in the Deep South with the primary to make sure that it's like the last 85-year-old black old ladies picking the Democratic nominee that is more like Obama or Bill Clinton or Joe Biden than picking a Mamdani type, because they are surfacing as the people running the show right now.
I'll tell you what this reminds me of. It reminds me of cycles in the past. Maybe you think it was either 2010 or 2014, a cycle when the Republicans had a really good year, and they nominated Sharon Angle in Nevada, who talked about shooting Harry Reid, Second Amendment solutions to the problem. And the woman in Delaware, Christine O'Donnell.
O'Donnell, the witch.
Yeah, had to run an ad saying, I am not a witch. And even in a year where Republicans won everywhere, those two broads were one bridge too far.
And remember, Harry Reid campaigned to get Sharon Angle through the primary process. He spent millions to make sure she was the nominee. Republicans right now are doing that in Wisconsin. There's a woman, Francesca Hong, who is, there should be no borders. There should be no prisons. She could not give a testimony whether or not she would have murderers released from jail. She is 6 sheets from the 6 sheets from the wind crazy. And she is very likely to be the Democratic nominee. Republicans spending $2 million to support her. And what happened in Wisconsin, I don't know if you heard, the lieutenant governor, who was the moderate candidate, she was about to have this multi-million-dollar ad spend, and she had to cancel it. And turns out her treasurer or her campaign manager was claiming money that wasn't there. And instead of having millions of dollars, she was like negative $140,000 in the hole. She drops out, and they have to get people who have dropped out of the race to jump back in to find an appropriate person. And the governor is like knifing everybody on his way down. It's a complete disaster show just to stop Francesca Hong, the woman who doesn't believe in prisons, from being the nominee, and they can't stop her from being the nominee.
You spent a lot of time researching and studying political coalitions. And when you look at the current Democratic coalition, It's very different than the Democratic coalition of, let's say, the 1980s, the 1970s, the 1960s, when a lot of the blue-collar voters, particularly blue-collar whites in places like the South, the Middle West, West Virginia, rather, at one point in time used to be the most reliably Democratic state in the Union. Now it's arguably the most reliably Republican state in the Union. And essentially, the blue-collar voters switch places with a lot of affluent, white-collar, college-educated people on the coasts and in the college towns, places like that. So people who used to vote Republican decades ago are now some of the most reliable Democratic voters. Okay, if the DSA becomes a very vocal part of that coalition and they want to do things like soak the rich and go after the Jews and go after Silicon Valley, that's friendly fire. That's not going after the Republicans. You're declaring war on other portions of the Democratic coalition. And my guess is some of them aren't going to take that sitting down. They're going to fight them off, and some of these primaries are going to be brutal and bloody. And some of them are going to say, you know what, if the party has become this, Bill Maher just recently over the weekend said something similar to this, if this is what the party is going to become, count me out. I'll vote Republican before I accept that. I would imagine that there's a real threat of that happening.
Yeah, I think there are a number of people who are saying this is a bridge too far for me. But remember, it's the people like Reid Hoffman who just gave James Tallarico $10 million who are very for this. I mean, it is a weird fetish where I guess they believe they'll just be eaten last. And there's no sign that there is. Some of the biggest Mamdani supporters, and Mamdani he's got all the signs of a raging anti-Semite. I mean, some of his biggest supporters are non-religious Jews that are leftist. Now, at the same exact time that we're seeing a lot of Jews leave the Democratic Party, but the ones who are the biggest Abdul al-Said supporters, the biggest, far left activists, some of them do fall in that coalition, and they give cover for that coalition to be anti-Semitic or to hate billionaires or whatnot. So there are a number of people who are fanning the flames who belong to that coalition. Well, my bigger concern is that among young people who have so much economic anxiety between AI and buying a house and all the rest of it, that there's just enough of them at this point who vote to really flip the election. I mean, there is essentially no more baby boomer generation. There's very little silent generation. Not baby boomer, rather, the greatest generation. There's very few silent generation. Baby boomers are shrinking, and millennials have lurched to the right, but they're still voting majority Democrat, when at this point they should they should be 50-50, and they're not there yet. Those are all concerning signs that some of these people can win, and what happens when they win is where a lot of concern comes from.
If you are Chuck Schumer, if you are Hakeem Jeffries, and this is your coalition, you have a coalition that's at war with itself right now, how do you keep it together and stay in power yourself?
The key is they're not going to stay in power. That's the Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer should be looking at retirement communities. Like, this is the thing. They don't stay in power. And they know it. And they have no way of fighting against it because they fanned the flames. They called Trump a dictator and a fascist. So how are you going to turn around and say that the Antifa member, the anti-fascist one, well, they're just a bridge too far? No, you've set the stage. You've said it's as bad as it can possibly be. You've done all the things. You made the performance happen. You did fear porn for a decade. You made it happen for a solid decade, that there was this genuine fear of a white nationalist uprising. So now the brown people who are lumping Jews in with the white nationalist coalition because they love Israel and everything, guess what? You can't escape it. At the end of the day, Robespierre gets executed too. That's the moral of this story. At the end of the day, the people who did the reign of terror, they all get executed as well. And Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries only owes his reelection to the fact that Mamdani refused to allow someone to run against him. but it was out of kindness. That will not be turned around in 2 years if Hakeem does not do everything Mamdani wants. They all know that they're at these people's heels.
All right, let's bring it back to California here for a second, because Javier Becerra, who is the Joe Biden of California, was able to be the last man
Joe
standing.
Biden way smarter than Javier Becerra. That's very wrong. That is so wrong. Give Joe Biden his flowers. He definitely is smarter than Javier Becerra.
Scrub it.
All right, we have a remedial Joe Biden as our Democratic nominee for governor here in California. And there is a big piece in the California Post that John Fleischman wrote that I think is true, which is that his strategy, Becerra's strategy in this election, is going to be what Joe Biden did in 2020, which is go in the basement and not come out. Democrats outnumber Republicans in California. If he actually campaigns around the state and debates Steve Hilton, nothing good can happen from that. Only bad things can happen. So just lay low and enjoy the registration advantage, take your win, and move on. The way I see it, if he has public events, if he goes in front of union groups, if he goes in front of ethnic groups, if he goes in college campuses, he cannot avoid being dragged into what's going on right now in Gaza. He cannot avoid being dragged into the DSA versus standard Democratic fight. And the only way for him to stay above all of that is to just not put himself in a situation where that can happen. That means very controlled environments. That means not the traditional kinds of campaigning that we expect from a Democrat candidate in a state like California. He is going to only speak to, I don't know, maybe cable networks, maybe groups where people are delegates or they're credentialed and not anyone from the street can walk in. What do you make of how he's going to run this election?
Oh, I believe that. I mean, if he is offered one spelling test, it's over. I mean, the man cannot, he cannot risk anything. And he's an accidental nominee. I mean, that's the truth. He was the last man standing. If Katie Porter did not have that, that incident where she wanted to throw hot mashed potatoes on that one reporter, had Slawwell not tried to sleep with every person who walked the face of the earth, they would probably be much more like, they would have split the party vote by at least 20 points, and who knows what would have happened. They would have taken away at least 8 or 9 points each, is what I'm saying. So there was a lot that he was the last man standing. It is absolutely the truth. He was just the last man standing. And Democrats know his weakness. I think it was a Democrat on CNN who worked with Biden who said, we all know that Becerra is a moron. He should not be the nominee. Democrats who served with him were saying that. And, California, he cannot afford a James Tallarico situation where in Texas, Tallarico, who's doing very well in the polls, went to an all-black event and was ripped from ear to ear. He was destroyed from his comments about Jesus being non-binary to his treatment of his black Democratic female opponent, Jasmine Crockett, during the primary. He can't afford any of those things, and he doesn't want them. And it has to be controlled, because if it's not, imagine if the general population of Oakland showed up to a Becerra rally and got to ask him questions for 10 minutes. We don't know where. I mean, they would all say, tell everyone, announce October 7th was a good thing. Like they did, by the way, they did it to Ro Khanna. They did it to Ro Khanna on a podcast, and Ro was like, I don't know if it was a good thing. I don't think it was a good thing. Like he could not realize the insanity that he was trying to buddy up with. This is the truth. There's no way on earth he's going to be. Maybe he'll do a debate with Steve Hilton, but maybe one debate and that's it.
Yeah, on airport radio at 6 a.m.
Yeah, I know, with 4 registered communists asking the questions. But that's what it's all coming down to. So look what happened to Wiener in San Francisco. I mean, did you see that?
Oh yeah, no, he got harassed at the Trans Pride event.
I mean, this is a man with a butt plug on a good day, like walking around the streets, and he is saying, and they're saying, you don't belong in our coalition because you were born a Jew. I mean, this is really what they are, where they are.
Ryan Gerdusky, author of the book They're Not Listening, How the Elites Created the National Populist Revolution, available online at Amazon.com, and host of the A Numbers Game podcast with Ryan Gerdusky, which you can download wherever you download your favorite podcasts. You can also follow him on X at Ryan Gerdusky. Ryan, thanks so much for stopping by.
Thank you so much.
It's the John Phillips Show.
I love the city of Santa Fe. In fact, I think listener Tony's in Santa Fe right now. I wish I was in Santa Fe, although I am enjoying Toronto. But I have a few trips planned already for the next couple of months to get back out to my favorite city, the city different, the city with the best weather, the art, the culture, the people, oh, the food, the red chili enchiladas, the green chili stews. Oh my goodness, the green chili cheeseburgers. Do you know what happens in September in Santa Fe? They have this thing called the Green Chili Cheeseburger Smackdown, where all of the best spots from up and down the state of New Mexico meet at Santa Fe Brewing, and judges get to decide who made the best green chili cheeseburger. And I've had the winner of several years, and they are all excellent. Another reason you got to get down to Santa Fe. There is a daily direct flight now from LAX to the Santa Fe airport on American. I've taken it a bunch of times. In 2 hours, you're at the city different, and you're going to have a great time.
It's the John Phillips Show. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number. 1-800-222-5222. If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And Randy, you can not only listen to the show on the radio, but you can watch us on YouTube and click that like button.
We're broadcasting live on video every single day at youtube.com/@RandyWangRadio, at X @JohnnyDon'tLike. Like the button, hit the subscribe, share, tell everyone you know what you're wasting your time doing from noon to 3 every day.
We've got 30 more minutes to go. Don't you go anywhere.
No purchase necessary to enter or win. Sweepstakes open to U.S. residents only, except New York and Florida. 18 and older. Rent 11/126. Void where prohibited. For official rules, visit CarProSweeps.com. Sponsor Acuity Marketing, Inc. DBA CarPro.
Now is one of the best times to enter to win a 26 Corvette Stingray at CarPro.com. For a limited time, qualifying entry packages receive up to 30 times the entries. Win a brand new 2026 Corvette Stingray or $40,000 cash. This special launch promotion won't last long, so don't wait. Go to CarPro.com today and get entered. And if you're in the market for a car, don't fool around with dealer games. Go get VIP service with amazing pricing at CarPro.com. These guys know Southern California dealers like the back of their hand. They'll only send you to the good ones and avoid the bad ones like the plague. The best part is it's completely free for you. Go to CarPro.com, put in what you're looking for in your zip code, or you can call or text Tom Haynes directly on his cell phone at 818-435-6797. Stop doing it the hard way. Go to CarPro.com. It's the John Phillips Show. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number. 1-800-222-5222. Coming up on this week's accountability podcast, Randy, you and I get into the details of Gavin Newsom's corruption.
Gavin Newsom, who announced to everyone that he was being investigated, has not had a very good couple of weeks. His wife goes on MSNBC and stumbles when asked about the fact that this investigation was started under the Biden administration, and Gavin stepped in it when he refused to give out the details of his fancy schmancy diaper contract, only to find out, thanks to some great reporting from Julie Watts, that there was no competitive bidding process. We get into all of it. It's a show you're going to want to share with your friends, your family, anyone in California suffering under Gavin's rule, and anyone outside of California that wants to know about this guy who says he's running for president. It goes live at midnight on Wednesday. Subscribe by going to youtube.com/@accountability podcast. If you have any trouble finding it, send us an email and we will point you in the right direction.
That is right. And if you subscribe, you don't have to do anything. It'll load on your computer automatically, and you can listen to it whenever and wherever you'd like to.
I'm putting a link in the chat right now.
All right. So we know that the NGOs, the non-for-profits, are ripe for corruption here in the state of California. We've seen example after example after example. And Randy, we have another one making headlines.
This was one we talked about recently in Palo Alto, a nonprofit that was supposed to be to help hungry people that ended up using all of their money to feed themselves, the family running the nonprofit. For more, here is KPIX in the Bay.
Also this evening, we have new information in our investigation into an East Palo Alto nonprofit that steered hundreds of thousands of dollars to its own employees and family members. The Ecumenical Hunger Program responded to our story and now admits a lack of oversight and internal control led to those payments. Our Suji Nam did some more digging and spoke with an accounting expert about the nonprofit's explanation.
I mean, it did go to feed hungry people.
Ecumenical Hunger Program opened its doors more than 50 years ago in East Palo Alto, feeding and providing resources to those in need. But our investigation uncovered public tax documents from 2023 to 2024 showing the nonprofit used more than $331,000 of donated funds for family members of the executive director, Lisa Preston, along with the nonprofit's employees and previous employees for things like mortgages, car payments, and rent.
Wait, that's not food.
Imagine if there was a Doge-like program here in California that went through the books of all of these NGOs that accept government money, what we would find. How much do you want to bet that most of them operate like this?
The day after our story aired last month, officials with the program sent a letter to their donors and stakeholders explaining that due to the pandemic...
You guys might want to change the eggplant on that logo. That has a different meaning nowadays.
Oh, yeah. Well, it might attract attention to it, though.
They used unrestricted emergency grants to help the community. We asked them multiple times if they'd sit down with us. They provided a statement, reading in part, quote, EHP...
Nothing shows that you got nothing to hide like refusing to sit down for an interview about your stolen funds.
Worked quickly to develop and introduce its family sustainability program. The proposed $2 million program was designed as a 2-year safety net resource distribution. Program funding would come from unrestricted donations received by EHP. All applications were subject to the same program standards, and all applications from Lisa's family members were reviewed or approved by an independent board member.
So everything is above board if the independent board member approved using all of the charity's money to help the charity's family.
Well, think about what goes on with voting and what Spencer Pratt had to say about that. What happens in California is not illegal per se. What they've done is they've legalized the cheating. They've legalized things like ballot harvesting, which in other states is illegal. Or they've legalized things like dumping a bunch of ballots in on election day in the mail, having them arrive 3-4 days later, and those ballots counting. You can't do that in other states. Here you can. I would imagine because so many people in politics are part of that revolving door where they go from the NGOs to elected office, back and forth, that they have legalized a lot of what we would regard as corruption. And as long as you check certain boxes, you're okay.
Neither Lisa nor any of her family members was involved in the decision-making process relating to grants issued to Lisa's family members.
If the organization is saying that this is unrestricted funding, I would be curious what the funding sources were, what those donors' expectations were for those funds.
Brandon Phillips formerly taught at Cal State East Bay, specializing in nonprofit oversight.
Oftentimes, unrestricted funds typically come from private donors, but they do give funding in the expectation that it will be allocated in specific ways.
Like if you're called a hunger program, you think the money is going towards feeding hungry children.
Well, wasn't there a big issue that went on with one of the AIDS groups in LA where the group spent their money on real estate related projects and not AIDS?
Or go to specific services that they believe the organization is carrying out.
In the statement, the nonprofit spokesperson also said, quote, "In their haste to quickly provide relief, programs experience weakness in oversight and internal controls."
This is the same excuse we give when it comes to the EDD money during COVID. Well, we were just trying to get money out as quickly as possible. We didn't care that we were giving it out to criminals.
Fog of war.
More research should have been done before implementing the Family Sustainability Program. And
it did sustain one family.
Oh, yeah, they did quite well.
More parameters should have been put in place before implementing this program.
Creates suspicion and distrust with the community, with clients that are being served, with funders.
So we sifted through pages of tax documents showing an itemized list of the more than $1 million in grant spending given out as a part of the Family Sustainability Program. We calculated payments into two groups. One group, generically labeled payment of personal expenses.
That's as generic as you can get.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Average grants of $3,500. The other group specified money going to family members, employees, and past employees, which averaged more than $9,700, including $47,000 for the executive director's sister and husband's personal debts, and more than $46,000 for an employee's personal expenses, including a year of rent.
That's one generous employer.
Hey, wouldn't we all like to have employers like that?
Money is given to the organization with specific expectations in mind, and so mixing these things in that way does definitely.
They need to change their logo from Ecumenical Health Program Neighbors Helping Neighbors to Neighbors Helping Us.
I love the fact that all of the food that they're giving out in the bags is all candy and junk food.
I didn't know they still made Fun Dip.
Create distrust of organizations.
We reached out to all board members for comment but did not hear back. In response, a spokesperson sent another statement saying in part, quote, "Funding decisions were made through an independent review process that EHP believed..."
That doesn't make it any better.
No!
...was fair, objective, and focused on the needs of applicants, including eligible employees of the organization.
They needed their mortgage paid.
I understand why they wanted the money. It's just an organization that raises money to feed the hungry shouldn't be about paying the rent of family members of the woman who runs it.
In the wake of our story, East Palo Alto Mayor Webster Lincoln also weighed in, sending a note to stakeholders and donors backing Ecumenical Hunger Program. He also stated, quote, "EHP's board has acknowledged that program's design and oversight fell short of what it should have been, has discontinued it, and has said it is continuing to review the matter. I take that acknowledgement and that ongoing review seriously, and I expect EHP to follow through on it with full transparency to its donors and this community."
Why? They only got caught because of this report from KPIX, so why are they going to change their behavior now?
No. I mean, why would you want to pay your own rent if you can stick the bill with some other sucker?
We do need more oversight to prevent these types of things from happening. But the need right now in government also is so large for things that are having to be picked up by the state level that was previously handled by the federal level.
Weakness in oversight and internal controls mixed with a lack of oversight, a fixture of East Palo Alto for half a century, vowing to do better moving forward.
The executive director of the Ecumenical Hunger Program recently announced that the organization is expanding and they are purchasing the space adjacent to their East Palo Alto headquarters. They are currently seeking donations for a major renovation.
That doesn't sound crooked at all.
Yeah, I wonder which cousin's going to be the contractor.
Listener Amy writes in, "Wow, this is nuts." Stevie writes in, "Board members must have all fled the country at this point."
It's the John Phillips Show. It's the John Phillips Show. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number. 1-800-222-5222. If you're watching us live on YouTube, make sure you click that like button. We want as many likes as possible so that we push the show in front of as many eyeballs as possible. And clicking that like button helps us do that. All right. Randy, you're here with an update for us on the LBs and the problems they're causing on bikes.
And when we say LBs, we mean the little bastards. The teen biking has gotten out of control, specifically in Stanislaus County, where they even have a name for themselves. They call themselves the Bumper Boys, and they like to film themselves crashing into people.
That seems reckless.
For more on this, we go to CBS in Sacramento.
In the story we brought you last week, a group of teenage bikers catching the attention of Stanislaus County law enforcement, riding through Riverbank and running into cars. Nina Burns sat down with this group behind these videos.
Oh, I don't know if you saw that one, Randy, but they hit a Nissan Altima and they caused $1,500 in improvement.
That was an Altima LTMA 489-9410. Please move it now. You're blocking someone.
That's one of the drops that's on the top 100.
Bikes, we're just trying to have fun.
They're swerving it for the views.
Do it for the gram. That's the explanation the teenage biking group behind these videos gave CBS 13.
We don't really mean to do it, it just happens sometimes, you feel me?
You mean to do it.
Now, wait a minute. If you're doing it and then you're recording it on video and you're not only posting it on the net, but you're turning it over to the news, my guess is you meant to do it.
Yep.
But then you clipped it and put it online.
Yeah.
The group, which calls the culture Bad Bike Life, says not every
Bad Bike Life. This is what the kids are doing.
rider has the same goal.
It's just like some people like to risk their lives and they know what they're doing.
They say riders who weave through moving traffic are known.
Okay, this makes me so irritated on so many levels.
Imagine if you're driving your car down a city street and some complete idiot is playing a game of chicken with you on a bicycle, and you know if you hit them, if you hit that teenager on the bicycle, you're not only going to probably go to jail, but your life is going to be ruined. And they're just doing it to get clicks on TikTok, and they don't particularly care about their own physical health.
And pull up your pants. I'm becoming one of those people.
As suicide swervers. Others.
We're not the type to...
We're the Bumper Boys. We're the suicide swervers. At what point do we just do what they're now starting to do in Orange County? Go after the parents. They created these little bastards, and they should be responsible for them.
I love the fact that they're driving their bikes directly at moving vehicles, yet one of those kids is wearing a helmet. As if that's going to help. That's just going to give the EMTs something to scoop your brains out of with a soup ladle.
Cars, we just like hitting stop cars. Well, me and him, because we're both Bumper Boys.
Bumper Boys, their term for riders who intentionally hit parked cars with the hope of causing damage.
Some people are just doing it
Well, now I know why my insurance is so high.
The Bumper Boys.
because they don't care.
Let's say there's a mom and a child, and there's a child in front of the car. They swerve out of the way to not hit that. Do you guys take into account the people in the cars?
Honestly, most of the people don't take account to the cars.
Some riders say
We're the responsible Bumper Boys. Pull your pants up.
it's the adrenaline, but most admit it's about social media.
Yes, it's for the likes and views.
The same dopamine drip that John and I get when you hit the like button, these teenagers are getting it and their brains are not equipped for it. So it's like a drug to them to get all of this instant fame. These little devices in our pockets will end society.
But if you do it here, we won't trash your car.
We're the good kind of place to like.
Use on Instagram.
You think you don't have enough talent to not rely on the shock factor? Is that why you include it?
No, we just feel like it's just like we get better clips if we do something like.
The group plans to hold another ride-in series this weekend.
They have to operate just like a vehicle.
which has Ceres police on alert, saying bike riders face the same consequences and rules as drivers.
They have to come to complete stops at stop signs. They can't veer into oncoming lanes or at oncoming vehicles.
Yeah, but who's enforcing that?
Yeah. What about knocking out every single taillight belonging to a Taurus?
That does violate the section of reckless driving and the terms of our ordinance.
Violations of that ordinance can lead to bikes being seized and fines up to $1,000. They also say their social media post about a freeway takeover were meant to distract police.
They're going to make a big deal out of it.
Well, they actually did try to do that on the Bay Bridge a couple of times, and they got busted.
If they're all hopped up on Mountain Dew, can you give them a DUI too?
Listener Hammer Hyena writes in, they are not bicycles. Not a single one of those kids is pedaling. Carrie writes in, Junior Jackass, Johnny Knoxville sequel series.
Out of it, because there is a riding series, and we're kind of just trolling them because we know they have the account. So.
And by trolling, do you mean using their resources and wasting time?
Yeah.
I'm by myself with my 3-year-old. Like, what am I gonna do?
Neighbors say they see riders cutting in front of cars regularly.
Where are the police putting out citations? Where are the parents?
As he spoke,
Parent.
Yeah, singular.
with that neighbor, Modesto police arrived. Neighbors tell CBS 13 they called after a rider intentionally hit a car.
At this point, especially in lower crime parts of the state like Stanislaus County, what percentage between 90 to 99% of the calls coming in are about e-bikes?
Well, just imagine if you park your car outside and you wake up in the morning to go to work and you see 9,000 dents in there that you know some idiot on a Schwinn put on your car. How upset would you be?
A rider, one of these self-described bumper boys we had just interviewed.
Something bad is gonna happen to one of them, and I don't know if that's gonna deter the rest.
Nope. This is the next generation, and yes, they're getting dumber.
That's just wild. Yeah, what about the parents, right? That's a whole different conversation. Nina says of all those kids, one was as young as 11. He told Nina he felt riding his bike was his escape from what he says is a bad home life.
So there you go. That is your latest update on the little bastards.
Well, I guess not all of them can get adopted by Daddy Warbucks.
Listener Amy writes in, and I totally agree with this. If the socials would stop allowing these videos, you wonder if they'd stop doing this stuff. They're doing it not only for the clicks and the likes, but on platforms like TikTok, you can literally make money off of this. So this is a pathway to stardom for these kids.
All right, that's going to do it for us today. But Randy, on Wednesday, our newest edition of the Accountability Podcast drops, and it's about Gavin Newsom's corruption.
If you want to learn more about Gavin's dirty little diaper deal, check out our podcast this Wednesday by going to youtube.com/@accountabilitypodcast. If you want to just listen to it, it's also available on Apple Podcasts or iHeartRadio. The Accountability Podcast every single Wednesday, an extra hour of us doing what we do best.
All right, that's going to do it for us today, but we'll be back tomorrow at noon for another edition of The John Phillips Show.